Originally, I had no intention of revealing the conversations between Sheriff Fontanez and me, but I'm tired of being accused of lying, and especially since the police apparently are making fun of me, according to McCormick, who is Loper's co-conspirator. Now at least you can hear it straight from the horse's mouth that Loper was merely a jail guard, never a sheriff's officer. And, according to Sheriff Fontanez, there is a big difference. Dallas police officer James M. McCormick, badge number 6393, sends everyone to HarmonicGrid for important, fictitious information about me. Loper is the fraudster who slanders me on his other channel, HarmonicGrid. Loper is also Buddy Logan, HarmonicGrid and Stay in the Loop 21. Among many others, all of whom sent private messages not only to me, signed Scott Loper, which can be substantiated. HarmonicGrid, i.e. Loper, the former jail guard that you can see in the following video being interviewed by Judge Andrew Napolitano on Fox News, insisting that he was a sheriff's officer. I believe that claim will backfire on Loper's alleged lawyer, Scott Shields. Just watch his body language. But I'm sure that any good investigative reporter can get to the bottom of this quickly. I told you from the get-go that I can prove who is lying. This is a good start, but I have much more. I also forwarded the audio files to Judge Napolitano so he can ascertain Loper's story being a sheriff's officer.
Somehow you got involved exposing USA 180.
Yes.
But then while exposing them, this character comes up, correct?
Yes.
Saying that he is Scott Loper with this identification.
Yes.
He's part of the story. Now, we did receive a corresponding letter back in 1990 from him to this department. All I can tell you is this, is that he did send us a letter to us, this guy Scott Loper. He wanted us to give him a recommendation for something, and we could not do that.
Yes.
The only thing we responded back that says that we could not give him a favorable recommendation. Now, as soon as I saw this name, I said, wow, this brought me back, because I knew this individual because I used to work with him. Now, I didn't know him personally.
Yeah.
I just know he was one of the, in fact, he wasn't even a sheriff's officer. That's the thing. He was a correction officer here.
I see.
He was one of our employers here, but he wasn't what they call, at that time, in the 1977 and 80s, 79, they were not considered police officers. They were considered correction officers.
Oh, I see, I see.
And that's number one. And number two is, looking at this identification card, there's a lot of, this doesn't even look like stuff that we have. Matter of fact, the signature is kind of weird here, too. So we have to invest from our part, from this department, is make sure no one's using our identification and impersonating himself as a sheriff's officer from Canham County.
Yeah.
Now that is something we have to stop, because he is not a sheriff's officer of Canham County. He was a correction officer, but not a sheriff's officer, and so he doesn't carry the badge with him. Not supposed to have no badge with him. This department, we have to put a stop of him carrying an identification card stating that he is a sheriff's officer and using our department for whatever he wants to use that. That's a no-no.
You're so
we do get a lot of officers that use the identification card using the umbrella of the sheriff's office, and that's a black mark on our department. So we try to stop that, because some would use that illegally, and we don't really want that to happen to us.
Yeah, I think he has a really good scam going, because he's doing real well. He hasn't missed any pork chops. You look at him. So,
you're funny.
Yeah, you know, and I see. Yeah.
People are using the internet.
Yes.
I could see somebody taking advantage of that type of, not to say that he's doing it, because I can't prove that.
Yes.
But I could see people taking advantage of it, and people do have a tendency to send money to people who are misfortune things happen.
Yes. Yes.
And sometimes they take a person like yourself who put these people and expose the criminal elements of it. So
yes, well, I was the only one. Well, see, I had exposed this USA 180 guy. He said he was a doctor. He's a behavioral scientist, and and PhD. Well, and no PhD would behave the way he does, would act the way he does, show up with the gun and holster on YouTube. You know, I mean, this is not a professional person. I have openly accused him of not being a PhD, and he did admit finally that he's not going to call himself Dr. Mark Taylor anymore. Yeah, but let's get back to Loper.
He did work for the sheriff's office. He was a correction officer, not a sheriff's officer.
I see.
So he did work for our department. I don't know if you know the difference between a correction officer and a sheriff's officer. Maybe you go online, you can find and distinguish which one. But back in 1980, the correction officer did not do police work. So.
Oh, I see.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. And you know, if he has been,
He could have been a police officer somewhere else now. Not to say, you know, he could have been working somewhere else that I don't understand, that I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that the years he worked here, he was just a correction officer. And yes, we do have him on our list as an employee here. He did retire a couple years later. I don't think correction officer was put in a police database system.
Oh, I see. What actually is the difference between a correction officer?
Well, in 1976 and that era back there, the correction officer, what they do is they take care of inmates.
I see.
They call them jail guards.
I see.
They didn't have police academy training.